Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive into the 41st millennium.
Into the grim darkness.
Oh, yeah, and this time, we're talking about the Deathwing.
The first among equals.
You really are something else. So this time we are diving into this anthology right here, the Deathwing Anthology, and we're going to go through pretty much everything.
It's got it all. Psychic phenomena. Desperate last stands against impossible odds. Even space marines fighting space marines.
Because who doesn't love a bit of space marine on space marine action, am I right?
Especially when it's the sons of the lion tearing into each other.
It's the best. So before we get into it, let's take a step back for those who might be new to the world of the First Legion.
The mysterious dark angels, shrouded in shadow and whispers.
Right. Like, what's the deal with these guys? Expert speaker, give us the down low on why the dark angels and, by extension, the Deathwing are so secretive.
It all goes back to the Horus Heresy, that galaxy-spanning civil war that almost doomed the Imperium. You see, the Dark Angels, they weren't always on Terra's side.
Wait, really?
Oh, yeah. Their Primarch, Lionel Johnson, he was all about that independent streak. But when Horus rebelled, the Lion threw in with the Emperor. Problem was, not all of his sons agreed with the decision.
Ooh, so there was infighting.
Big time. It all came to a head on their homeworld, Caliban. A bloody civil war erupted, with some dark angels siding with Horus, becoming the fallen, forever hunted by their loyalist brethren.
So that's why they're so secretive. They're trying to cover up this huge betrayal.
Exactly. It's like a galaxy-sized skeleton in their closet, and they'll do anything to keep it hidden.
And the Deathwing. They're like the keepers of the secrets, right?
The most veteran, the most trusted. They bear the weight of their chapter's shame on their armored shoulders, forever seeking redemption.
Speaking of bearing burdens, our first story throws us right into the thick of it. Two heads talking, a librarian of the Deathwing returns to his homeworld, and it's not exactly a happy homecoming.
Oh no, it's more like a horror show waiting to happen.
Right. Genestealers. Ugh, just the worst, am I right? Before we go any further, listener, quick spoiler warning. If you haven't read the Deathwing Anthology and you want to experience all those juicy plot twists, you might want to skip ahead a bit. We'll let you know when it's safe to warp back.
Don't want to ruin the fun, right?
Absolutely. Okay, so we're past the spoiler cordon. Two heads talking comes home and finds. Well, what does he find? Paint us a picture.
Imagine, if you will, a world once lush and vibrant, now twisted and corrupted. The very air seems to crawl with unseen menace. That's what Two Heads Talking walks into.
He's got to know something's wrong, right?
Oh, he knows. The psychic echoes are screaming at him. He finds a deserted hunting lodge, once a place of camaraderie, now a tomb. His kinsmen slaughtered, their remains disturbed.
Disturbed how?
Let's just say there's a reason genestealers are nicknamed the Clawed Fiends.
Shudder. Okay, I think we get the picture. So what happens next?
He ventures deeper, drawn by a presence, a psychic beacon. He finds it. Or rather, it finds him. The Genestealer Patriarch. A monstrous creature of pure psychic might, the mastermind behind the planet's downfall.
Talk about bad timing.
Yeah.
So what happens? Big psychic duel in the ruins.
It's Warhammer 40k. It's never that simple. Two Heads Talking, he's powerful, but this Patriarch, it's ancient, warped by centuries of psychic might. This thing makes a Carnifex look like a puppy. Two Heads Talking knows he can't win in a straight fight.
So what does he do?
He digs deep. Deeper than he's ever gone before, taps into a wellspring of power so ancient, so potent, it draws the attention of Deathwing itself.
Hold up. Deathwing itself. I thought we were talking about the first company.
That's the question, isn't it? What is Deathwing? A primal force.
Yes.
A warp entity. The manifestation of the Dark Angel's guilt given terrifying form.
Whoa.
Right. Whatever it is, Two Heads Talking merges with it, becomes a conduit for its power. He obliterates the Patriarch, but
there's always a but, isn't there?
There is. His victory is absolute, but at a terrible cost.
Let me guess. He's not exactly coming back from that.
Let's just say whatever's left of Two Heads Talking after that encounter. Well, the galaxy might be better off not knowing.
That was heavy.
Grim Dark doesn't really do happy endings, does it?
Nope. But that's Warhammer 40k for you. Always another war to fight. Another horror lurking around the corner.
Speaking of horrors, how about we trade psychic obliteration for some good old-fashioned jungle warfare?
Oh, you mean the Devil's Marauders? I've been looking forward to this one.
It's a wild ride, that's for sure.
So, who are the Devil's Marauders? They're not exactly your poster boys for the Imperial Guard, are they?
Not even close. Imagine the roughest, toughest gangers your hive city can spit out. Now give them las guns and tell them to die for the Emperor.
Sounds like a recipe for disaster.
That's the Devil's Marauders in a nutshell. They're fighting a rebellion on this hellish jungle world, H-Thra, all for this valuable but dangerous resource. Witch spore.
Witch spore. Is that like space drugs for psychers?
Pretty much. It amplifies their powers, but it's also highly addictive and messes with your mind. And where there's something that messes with your mind in the 41st millennium, well...
You know, things are about to get really grim dark.
You said it. They're up against these rebels who are using the witch spore too, but they're also tapping into something darker, something demony.
Never a good sign.
Tell me about it. But it's not just demons and drug-fueled rebels they have to worry about.
Oh, what else could possibly go wrong?
How about an orbital bombardment?
Come on, seriously, talk about overkill.
The Imperium doesn't mess around. They'd rather glass a planet than let it fall into the wrong hands.
Harsh but fair. So what do?
They run, they fight their way through hordes of rebels, weird jungle creatures, and try to avoid getting vaporized by their own side.
Sounds fun.
If by fun you mean terrifying. They find this dead scout, right, tangled up in some dream spider webs. But he's smiling, totally at peace, lost in this blissful hallucination caused by the webs and the witch spore.
Okay, that's creepy.
And it gets worse. Remember that demonic presence we were talking about?
Yeah.
It manifests. A monstrous fusion of flesh and metal, fueled by the warp and the witch spore, like a demon engine decided to go to art school.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. It's basically a walking extinction event. They're outmatched, outgunned, and out of time.
So how do they survive?
Remember that orbital bombardment? They use it, lure the demonic monstrosity right into the blast zone and let the Imperium do the rest.
Talk about a Pyrrhic victory.
Victory. I think survival is a better word. It's a brutal, desperate fight for their lives, and in the end, they're left picking up the pieces, wondering if it was all worth it.
Which, when you're in the 41st millennium, is about as happy an ending as you're going to get. Man, talk about a bleak existence.
The 41st millennium,
Yeah.
where even the victories feel like defeats.
Ain't that the truth? But hey, at least they're not facing down like a full-blown inquisitorial investigation.
Oh, you mean like what happens in the next story?
Speaking of, we left off with the Inquisition. Those guys are a whole different kind of scary. What's on the docket for this one?
This one, it's a deep dive into what it really means to protect the Imperium. Buckle up, listener, because we're about to meet Inquisitor Valdez, a man who makes Commissar Borsky look like a choir boy.
Ooh, that bad, huh? What's he gotten himself into?
He and his retinue are investigating a plague on this world called Cabela's. Vitally important agri-world keeps the Imperial war machine fed.
Okay, plagues happen. Why is the Inquisition involved? Don't they usually just quarantine the whole planet and call it a day?
This plague, it's different. We're talking mutations, seizures, people driven mad by whispers only they can hear. Even chaos cults are steering clear.
Okay, yeah, that's not good. What's the cause? Demons. Warp shenanigans.
Spoiler alert, if you're planning on reading the anthology, you might want to fast forward a bit.
Always got to protect those pristine reading experiences. Okay, we're in spoiler territory now. Give us a lowdown.
It's a manifestation of chaos, tied to this warp storm that ravaged Cabela's a while back. The corruption took root in a young woman named Jula, a psyker, but she doesn't know she's channeling the warp and spreading the plague.
Poor girl. What does Valdez do?
What any good Inquisitor would do. He decides to burn her at the stake. Problem is, Jula's brother, Gestarts, he's also infected. He panics, escapes into this ruined village called Mordessa.
Wait, Mordessa, didn't the Imperium just, level that place a while back trying to contain the plague?
They did. The whole place is a blasted wasteland full of bad memories and enough warp residue to make a demon engine blush.
And Gestarts ran right into that. That can't end well.
It doesn't. Valdez sends in this inquisitorial detachment led by Captain Grunlin, these hardcore veterans of demonic incursions. They're not exactly known for their bedside manner.
Let me guess. They did what they had to do.
They did. Let's just say Gestarts won't be spreading the plague anymore. But Danielle, the psyker we talked about earlier, she sees what's happening, how these soldiers are being twisted by their proximity to the warp.
Oh, this can't be good.
It isn't. Grunland, he's gone off the deep end, completely fanatical. He turns on Valdez and Danielle.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Betrayal. In the Inquisition.
It gets messy. Danielle, she manages to fight them off, escape into the ruins, but the warp, it touches her.
Oh, no. She's infected, isn't she?
Worse, she's more powerful, but changed. She's not sure she's fighting for the Imperium anymore, just against the things that threaten it, even if it means becoming a monster herself.
That took a turn. Talk about a downer. Man, we've gone from psychic duels to jungle guerrilla warfare to inquisitorial showdowns.
And we're not done yet.
Oh, there's more.
We still got a whole anthology here. Remember that thing we were talking about with the Dark Angels, about how they're so secretive?
How could I forget? It's like their defining characteristic.
Well, imagine a world where the Dark Angel secret gets out.
Talk about a recipe for disaster.
Oh, it's a disaster, all right. A whole planet thrown into chaos, caught between the Dark Angels and those who want their secrets exposed.
Who would even want to be on that side of the fight?
Oh, the Imperium is vast. Not everyone is a fan of the Angels of Death, especially when they're hiding something big.
Fair point. Sounds like this is where the whole Deathwing thing really comes into play.
You bet. The first company is unleashed. Terminators versus everyone. It's a whirlwind of bolter fire, psychic mayhem, and those legendary plasma cannons.
Music to my ears. So who comes out on top? Do the Dark Angels keep their secrets? Or does the truth come out?
Now that would be telling. You'll have to read the Deathwing Anthology to find out.
Good answer. And that, my fellow lore seekers, brings us to the end of our deep dives into the Deathwing. We've gone from the depths of psychic horror to the heart of inquisitorial intrigue, and let me tell you, this anthology has it all.
It's a wild ride through the grimdark, that's for sure.
It really is. So if you're looking for a glimpse into the dark heart of the 41st millennium, look no further than the Deathwing Anthology. It's got everything a Warhammer 40k fan could ask for, and then some.
Just maybe don't read it before bed. Solid advice. Until next time, may your bolters be ever blazing, your chainswords ever sharp, and may the Emperor protect.
Assuming he's paying attention.